Get all these envelopes in, and it's like an assembly line. So first, you have the envelopes, you have to sort them, and then you have to open them, and then you have to open them again to get the secrecy envelope out. Then somebody actually sits there at a desk, the contents, and then the ballots have to be backbended and prepared for the scanner. So even though, we have all this machinery, it does help us, but we have to build up to that as we start the process. So it's the first time we did it. We're really happy with, the speed in which we were able to do it. And we're really happy that the people of Philadelphia afforded us the opportunity to be able to do this for the first time in Philadelphia, as it's the first time we've been able to vote by mail with no excuse.
Of the mail-in, those that were separated, are they part of that 40,000 that remain?
No. Well,
when will you count? How many are those that were separated?
I don't know. They've been segregated.
Can I ask you detail about the monitoring? We've heard the allegations from the president. Who is monitoring what's happening in there? The Department of Justice?
Everybody's monitoring. We have a live stream. Anybody can watch. You've all been watching it? There have been observers in the during the count. You could see them in the live stream.
I can't answer two questions at the same time. It's not possible. That's three questions now at the same time. Yeah. Let me do to our foreign friends. Yes.
To address and respond to the president's statements.
I think what the president needs to do is, frankly, put his big boy pants on. He needs to acknowledge the fact that he lost, and he needs to congratulate the winner, just as Jimmy Carter did, just as George H.W. Bush did, and frankly, just as Al Gore did. And stop this and let us move forward as a country. And that's my feeling. I doubt he'll listen to me, but that's it. Yeah, I know. I know. No, he's wrong. He's wrong and he's baseless, and he's Rudy Giuliani, so he says whatever he wants.
The ballots that are needed to be counted, there are ballots with issues. So can you describe a little bit about the process that it takes to check the legitimacy of those ballots with issues, and what's the time frame for you guys to be able to finish counting? I assume you guys have been doing it this morning.
We're going to continue to count the ballots as quickly as we can, without sacrificing accuracy, as we have from the beginning. That's where we're at. We'll be done, when we get done, because we still have ballots that we're scanning today. That there'll be another update, as I said, and we'll continue to do as we have been doing, ensuring that the ballots that we have are counted as quickly and as accurately as possible.
Can you clarify what time you think you'll be?
We should have a little update this afternoon. It might be going up now or shortly.
And when will you start counting the segregated ballots?
We are in the process right now of counting, just like we were yesterday and the day before. It's the same process. We are counting ballots, and we will continue to do that as quickly as possible without sacrificing accuracy.
Two more questions, folks. Two more questions.
But how many segregated ballots do you have?
We are going to continue. I don't have that number. We're going to continue. We are going to continue to count the ballots until they're all done. In a way that people as we have been doing for these past few days. We're going to get it done as quickly as possible, and it will be accurate. And we'll come out, and if we have something to tell you, you'll know. We sit as a return board. You've been on our website. The numbers get updated. There is a live stream. Everybody can watch. It's a very transparent process. It's a process that has been working for the past few days. It's the same process. We're just going to keep counting. We're going to keep counting. We're going to keep counting. Thank you.
How is the city preparing for protests this weekend?
Folks, that's it. Thank you very much.
Lisa, can I ask you about the live stream? Lisa?
It's Black Friday now, only at Target. This weekend only, save on TV.
Slim margin over President Trump there as they count the votes.
Here's a live look at a polling center in Atlanta. Again, those votes are still being counted. We are awaiting those numbers and, of course, giving them to you as we get them. But let's take a look at where things stand right now for both candidates. Right now, Joe Biden has 253 electoral votes. President Trump with 214. One of them needs to hit 270 in order to win this election. And Rachel Scott is in Delaware with the Biden campaign. Rachel, what are you hearing from Biden's team right now?
The Biden campaign is feeling confident. They are feeling good when they're looking at these numbers. And when they're looking at states like Pennsylvania, which is now leaning towards Joe Biden, and also Georgia, a state that a Democrat has not won in a presidential cycle since 1992. That's nearly 30 years. They are absolutely confident that Joe Biden will be the next president of the United States, and so confident that tonight Joe Biden and Senator Kamala Harris will be here just right behind me speaking to their supporters. Joe Biden plans to address the nation, and Biden has been really concentrated on projecting a sense of leadership to Americans during this time. He's telling them to stay calm as every single vote gets counted, but he's also showing that he plans to tackle some of the biggest challenges that our nation is facing. Yesterday, he came out in front of the cameras, and before he even talked about the election, he talked about the pandemic. He talked about the lives that are lost. He's trying to convey to the American people that he's going to be a leader to unite this divided nation during this time, Diane.
Scott in Wilmington, Delaware with the Biden campaign. Thanks, Rachel.
And now let's go to the Keystone State. Could be key to the election. Pennsylvania, the state that could push Joe Biden over the boundary to being president. Let's bring in Eva Pilgrim, I believe a native daughter of Pennsylvania, and she's in Philadelphia. Eva, what's the latest there?
First, I have to correct you. I'm not a native daughter of Philadelphia, but I did live here and work here, so I feel like I've been adopted by this city. I don't want to claim that I was born here because I know how Philly people are. We should say Joe Biden is now leading here in Pennsylvania by a very slim margin. It's about 13,000 votes. There are less than 120,000 ballots that are outstanding still, and those are mail-in ballots, which we know have overwhelmingly gone for Joe Biden. Now, we should point out Donald Trump needs about 55% of those remaining ballots to go his direction in order to take the lead. Biden needs 59% of those to avoid a potential recount. Now, we should point out where a lot of these ballots are coming from, right? These are mail-in ballots, and they are coming from predominantly Democratic strongholds. The Pittsburgh area, the Philadelphia area, and its surrounding counties, those areas are more likely to vote for Joe Biden. And so there is this expectation that a lot of these votes that are coming in will fall in his favor, as well as the fact that they are mail-in votes. But I also want to point out an interesting thing that we are seeing here. You can actually watch the count happening here in Philadelphia. It was a move that the city made to make sure that there was some transparency. They realized that all eyes would be on Pennsylvania and specifically on Philadelphia because the president has called out Philadelphia repeatedly as being a place that bad things happen. So they wanted to give that sense of transparency to the people here in Pennsylvania, but also the rest of the country, Terry, as people can watch those votes and see what's happening.
And Eva, your reporting has brought a lot of transparency to this on some of the issues that are being contested right now by the president's team. For example, he's been talking about, and the Republicans have actually taken a case to the Supreme Court about mail-in ballots that arrived after the election, that arrived after Election Day. And the counts so far, have any of those ballots been counted in the totals we're seeing right now?
Okay, so Terry, we heard from the Secretary of State that those ballots were to be segregated. She said that earlier in the week that they would not be a part of this count. Just to make sure, we actually called the three largest counties in the state of Pennsylvania, Allegheny, Montgomery, and Philadelphia. All three counties tell us those votes have been segregated. They are in a different area, and they have not been counted at this time. And I just want to point out that the Philadelphia commissioner who actually confirmed that information information for us is a Republican, Al Schmidt. And I think that's important to note because as so many concerns and complaints are being lobbed in this direction and about this issue, we need to remember that most of the people that are inside that room are a bipartisan coalition of people who are trying to make sure that the votes are counted accurately, Terry.
All right, Eva Pilgrim reporting the facts there from Philadelphia. Thanks.
Now let's go to Georgia, which could be somewhat of a surprise in this election. The state has long been a Republican stronghold, but overnight Joe Biden took the lead there. Elwin Lopez is in Atlanta for us. And Elwin, what's the latest on those outstanding ballots?
Yeah, so here in Georgia, Diane, Biden is leading over the president ahead by about 1,577 votes. Now, the Georgia Secretary of State, who is a Republican, says there are about 4,169 ballots outstanding in 4 separate counties. The biggest chunk of those are in Gwinnett County. Now, that is a blue-leaning county. But I also want to point out what happened in the overnight hours. The reason why we saw Biden ahead this morning was because they were counting ballots in Clayton County. That is also blue-leaning county. It is also the county that was long represented in Congress by the late civil rights icon John Lewis, who is also a vocal critic of President Trump. Now, another thing I want to point out is right before we came on the air, President Trump tweeted about asking really where are the military missing ballots in Georgia. Well, we know that those nearly 9,000 ballots must come in by 5 p.m. today and have a postmark on Election Day. An Election Day postmark, essentially. So those are still coming in. The other thing that I want to point out is taking out the count that the Secretary of State gave us regarding those absentee ballots. There are also provisional ballots that need to be counted and ballots that also need to be cured by the end of today at 5 p.m. Diane.
All right, a lot still left to count. Elwin, a lot of people are attributing Biden's comeback there so far to Stacey Abrams. Explain her role in all of this.
Yeah, so Stacey Abrams ran against Governor Brian Kemp about 2 years ago. It was 2 years ago. She narrowly lost by about 55,000 votes. And after her loss, she founded a nonprofit and she works with other voting rights groups here in Georgia and was able to register about 800,000 new voters. So if Biden does take the lead in this state and the state does turn blue, Democrats are giving her credit for doing that, Diane.
And the Senate races there both appear to be heading to runoffs. What are you hearing on that front?
Yeah, so they're really tight. And again, it's something that, you know, they weren't really expecting. We know that right now, Republican Senator Kelly Loeffler, who was appointed earlier in the year, will be facing Democrat Raphael Warnock, who is a pastor here in the Senate runoff there. Now, the one that's really tight right now, and they haven't called as of right now, is the one between Republican David Perdue and John Ossoff. So that is something that is going to perhaps come in on January. So they might be seeing 2 Senate races here in the state. Diane.
All right, Elwin Lopez for us in Atlanta. Elwin, thank you. And as Elwin mentioned, not just the future of the White House in question right now, but also the future of Congress. We'll break it all down with our panel when we come back.
The most powerful stories of our time, anytime. Nightline.
Your mom said, comb your hair. Your dad told you, smarten up. Your dog is judging you right now. And your best friend just called you crazy. We all need someone who'll pull no punches and give it to us straight. Now, imagine getting your news like that. No bull, no spin, just give it to me straight. Straightforward news, straight to the heart of the story. ABC News, straightforward.
The Americans here on the ground and the Iraqis, 18,000 tons. Patatas. Ismail? David.
Over ground zero from Hurricane Michael.
You can see just home after home. David, nice to meet you. This was your view.
My favorite view.
Thank you very much.
I know what happened, and I'm not guilty. Why the fascination with criminal trials? Figure out what's really out there.
She revealed she had murdered his family.
I know in my heart that he did this.
It's the time of suspicion. The ending's really tough.
You don't know whether truth is going to be difficult to find unless you try to find it.
With so much at stake, so much on the line, more Americans turn here than any place else. ABC News World News Tonight with David Muir.
We have made it through another week together.
America's most watched program across all of television.
Yes, mornings may look different these days, but where you start your day,
where you spend your mornings, where you get connected to everything that's happening.
And face it, there's a whole lot happening in our world these days.
Where you get all the breaking new information of the day to help you navigate through these times.
That's why we're here.
Good morning, sunshine.
And making sure you start your day off with a smile and some sunshine.
Good morning, America.
Good morning, America.
Good morning, America. Oh, how I love saying that.
Wake me up.
Oh, look at this blue sky.
Hey, clear sky, guys. Made it through.
Change is difficult, but this is my home. This is where I want to be.
I love that town. I'm not going to bail on it.
It's a big deal. New beginning.
Rebuilding Paradise. Network premieres Sunday at 9 on National Geographic.
The reality is our country can collapse from within.
You see the white power movement on the march. Klansmen and neo-Nazis, skinheads, it's meant to incite war.
From the KKK to Oklahoma City to Charlottesville, the new documentary event special.
We just need to start talking about race.
Homegrown hate, the war among us.
This is a real wake-up call.
Streaming now on ABC News Live.
I know what happened, and I'm not guilty.
Why the fascination with criminal trials? Figure out what's really out there.
She revealed she had murdered his family.
I know in my heart that he did this.
It's the time of suspicion. The ending's really tough.
You don't know whether truth is going to be difficult to find unless you try to find it.
Now, when it matters most, the straightforward facts. ABC News is America's #1 news. #1 in the morning, #1 in the evening, and the #1 show on all of television. #1 in late night versus the competition. #1 in politics versus the competition. The #1 daytime talk show. And #1 in streaming news. Most trusted, most watched. ABC News is America's #1 news.
Welcome back. Well, as we wait to learn who the next president of the United States will be, let's turn to our virtual roundtable to help break it all down for us. And joining us today, former Hillary Clinton campaign national political director Amanda Renteria, author and historian Leo Wright-Rigueur, and former Republican Congresswoman Barbara Comstock. Excuse me. Thanks for being with us all. Amanda, let me begin with you. 4 years ago on the Clinton campaign, you had a very different election. As you see Joe Biden taking leads in the vote count in Pennsylvania and Georgia right now, what are you feeling?
Hopeful. And really just proud of this team and proud of all the folks who have been out there organizing, who put their lives on the line to vote. They were worried, they were nervous, they stood in line. Just really hopeful for where this country can be. And at the same time, I recognize we are not all the way through the tape. So we've got to keep putting our head down, working all the way to the very end. I think anyone on the Clinton campaign recognizes it is not over till it's over, and we've got to stay in it and stay hopeful.
Spoken like a pro. Elections aren't as easy as Twitter. But Barbara, let me turn to you. So it was a pretty good day for Republicans, but now I want to ask you about the spot that President Trump and his approach to this period is putting these Republicans in. A handful of Republicans have supported the president's claims about election fraud and the elections being stolen from. Some are criticizing. Most are staying silent right now. What do you make of that response? What would you advise your colleagues in the House and Senate? What should people do as President Trump apparently takes this approach?
Well, I think you've seen, people like Mitt Romney and Marco Rubio, Ben Sass. I know, Adam Kinzinger. There have actually been lots of members who've, said, listen, you have not been giving any evidence, and they aren't going to go along with this. And I think they're seeing that it's really amateur hour with this campaign in the White House. They don't have a serious legal team. I mean, they are literally sending out emails saying, hey, call us if you have any evidence of wrongdoing, or if you want to help or go on the ground. They don't have somebody like a Ben Ginsburg or a Ted Olson that worked with us on the recount in 2000 that James Baker headed up. And so you have, as Ben Ginsburg has explained, if you're going to have serious allegations, you've got to get them on Election Day and get them. And his sons spoke. They just throw out the accusations, but they don't take any questions because they don't have any answers.
That's a great point. The campaign didn't seem like it was prepared to render.
They weren't. They don't have anyone in charge. I mean, Rudy Giuliani is not somebody who knows how to do this the way a Ben Ginsburg does. He's just fresh off of his, Borat cameo. Right. This isn't like impeachment where you can just throw things. You got to go into court with serious legal documents.
Right, and they may get there. We are in for a fight over the next few days. So let me go to Leah Wright-Rigueur. And Leah, I'm going to ask you to put on your historian's hat here. We've had contested elections in the past. This time President Trump says he wants this to go all the way to the Supreme Court. What is the past in our contested elections? Tell us about how this might play out.
So I think one of the things that we have to look to is the fact that the contested elections that have gone to the Supreme Court, namely the 2000 election, there were grounds for it to go to the Supreme Court. There was evidence. There was, the hanging Chad fiasco. There was a lot of data to back up this claim of going to the Supreme Court. What we're seeing right now is not that the evidence that's been put forth has been sketchy at best, if evidence is even being put forth. Right now, we're just seeing allegations. We're seeing accusations. I think the other thing to keep in mind is that when we've had these contested elections, right, this can be dragged out. But when we've had these contested elections, there's been evidence in terms of the types of mobilization and participation. What we've seen going into this is that there's been so much effort and so much interest in the political process that all of these political officials, all of these people on the ground, poll watchers, organizations, mobilization organizations on both sides of the aisle have been gearing up for this and have been protecting the integrity of voting. Right? So there's not necessarily anything for the Trump campaign to fall back on that would lead us to a Supreme Court moment, even though they say that they want a Supreme Court moment.
All right. Leah Wright-Rigueur, Amanda Renteria, Barbara Comstock, thanks very much for being with us. And coming up, we're going to be live on the ground in two of the key battleground states, the latest on the state of the race from Arizona and Nevada. Stay with us.
In times like these, the news-making events happen here. ABC News.
President Trump meeting face-to-face with one of the world's most brutal dictators, Kim Jong-un.
The president.
You trust him? I do trust him, yeah. I think he trusts me, and I trust him.
Ivanka Trump.
I have to ask you about your emails. Your father had taken Hillary Clinton to task for this.
There just is no equivalency.
So the idea of lock her up doesn't apply to you?
No.
Comey.
How strange is it for you to sit here and compare the president to a mob boss?
Very strange. Michelle Obama.
What do you wish you could tell your pre-White House self?
Whew. Melania Trump.
Do you think there's still people there that he can't trust?
Yes.
Still working out?
Yes.
Michael Cohen.
So he's still lying?
Yes.
It's a big statement.
And now, in a year with so much on the line, we're right there.
Good evening tonight from Washington, a very busy news night.
America's #1 news source, ABC News, straightforward.
We all need someone who'll pull no punches and give it to us straight. No bull, no spin. Now, imagine getting your news like that. Just give it to me straight. ABC News, straightforward.
I know what happened, and I'm not guilty.
Why the fascination with criminal trials? Figure out what's really out there.
She revealed she had murdered his family.
I know in my heart that he did this.
It's the time of suspicion. The ending's really tough.
You don't know whether truth is going to be difficult to find unless you try to find it.
What's the most innovative daily news podcast out there to listen to every day? Well, the Edward R. Murrow Awards say it's Start Here, the daily news podcast from ABC News. Even the New York Times calls us a top news podcast worth listening to. Start Here, free on Apple Podcasts.
Oh, look at this new sky.
Hey, clear sky, guys. Made it through.
Change is difficult, but this is my home. This is where I want to be.
I love that town. I'm not going to bail on it.
It's a big deal. New beginning.
Rebuilding Paradise. Network premiere Sunday at 9 on National Geographic.
What you're seeing right now, this is part of the eye wall.
This procession of migrants goes back 2 miles.
There is going to be catastrophic damage.
This fire has made a run. You can see those flames shooting up into the sky.
We are on the jam-packed red carpet.
To the right, guys.
So this is the 4th weekend of protest.
Watch ABC News on location for Facebook Watch.
Right now, at this defining moment in America, with so much on the line.
We gon' be alright.
We gon' be alright. From ABC News, Turning Point, the groundbreaking special Nightline series. Taking over, taking on. This moment for America. My America, your America, our America. This is Turning Point, the special Nightline series.
We gon' be alright.
Late night on ABC.
ABC News honored winner for the 2nd straight year with the Edward R. Murrow Award for overall excellence in television. More Americans choose ABC News, America's #1 news source.
Hello? This is Montana Highway Patrol. You're looking for a couple of missing teenagers.
That's right. Last seen in a red Focus.
The steering wheel is getting stiff.
Lock the door.
We're fine.
Got ourselves a predicament.
When the night has come.
Sex, gambling, fraud, betrayal, and murder. Cutthroat Inc., the podcast. A family on a mission to find their son. A year's worth of conversations with the killer. Cutthroat Inc. Subscribe for free now on your favorite podcast app.
Welcome back. As we watch the presidential and down-ballot elections, we can now project Democrat and former astronaut Mark Kelly will defeat Republican Martha McSally in the Arizona Senate race. Zoreen Shah is in Phoenix for us. And Zoreen, how important is that Senate seat when it comes to the balance of power in Washington?
Hi, Diane. It is incredibly significant. We just learned in the last couple hours, ABC News called Mark Kelly the winner in that special Senate race against Martha McSally. For the very first time in decades, Arizona is going to have 2 Democratic senators heading over to Washington. Of course, this is to fill John McCain's Senate seat. A lot of people we spoke to in this state, both Democrats and Republicans, say that they actually really didn't like the way that Trump spoke about John McCain. So they're not surprised that this state is leaning blue. They say this is one of the many reasons why they feel it's currently leaning blue right now.
And I want to add more to that, Zoreen, if you can, because now you're looking at 2 Democratic senators, but also Biden now ahead in Arizona. If he holds on to that lead and this state goes from red to blue, what's behind that?
Yeah, so we just got new numbers in the last couple hours. Those margins between the 2 candidates are actually shrinking. They are now separated by 1.4 of a percentage point. Biden is still in the lead. He is right under 50%. He lost his majority status, and he is separated from Donald Trump by about 44,000 votes. Okay, so what's the mood in this state, you might be wondering? Well, just right now, there are a few hundred protesters right outside the building where people are counting the votes. We actually went out there to a rally yesterday. We met many of them, and they said that they really just wanted to make sure that all legal votes were being counted. Of course, there is no indication at all that any other type of vote is being counted. They were also just so shocked that this state is leaning blue right now. They say that the only indication would be that there could be some sort of corruption in the counting process, although there is no indication of that right now. Diane?
Zoreen Shah in Arizona for us. Thanks, Zoreen.
And Joe Biden's lead in the key state of Nevada has widened, almost doubled since early this morning. Our Matt Gutman is on the ground reporting in Las Vegas. Matt, break it down for us. What's happening there?
What's happening is that the votes are starting to trickle in. These are the mail-in ballots that it has taken quite a bit of time for the state of Nevada to tabulate. This is for a variety of reasons, which we'll get to later. But I think the most important thing to know right now is that Joe Biden has about a 20,000 plus minus vote lead over President Trump. That expanded, nearly doubled the amount of votes that they had this morning. And it brings him right up to that 2% threshold. Hillary Clinton won the state by 2.5% in 2016. And when all of these votes are finally tabulated, and the vast majority of them, 90% left of the 63,000, it's getting very mathematical, so sorry, but 90% of the 63,000 are right here in Clark County, which is a Democratic stronghold. And the Biden camp tells me that they expect that they're going to get about a 2-for-1 ratio. So they're only going to increase the lead, they believe, and the current numbers tell us, as the day progresses. We're going to get another small drop of ballots later this afternoon, about 20,000. That'll give us a pretty good indication of where we are in this race. And again, the Biden team feeling very confident. They're just waiting for somebody to call it. Waiting is right. The country's waiting. A lot of people on social media having a lot of fun with Nevada as they count those votes ever so slowly. Some creative memes out there. Can you explain to people who are making those memes, why is it taking so long? I just have to note that Gavin Newsom, the governor of the neighboring state of California, razzed Nevada by posting one of those Little League Baseball memes of the kid like trying to run down from third to home. And that's what feels like it's happening here. Also, I wish I'd had an accounting degree, or at least had done a little bit better on statistics in college, because it is really difficult to get through the numbers here. They keep changing them on us. One of the things that we learned today is that, well, we were told we'd get 51,000 ballots dropped today. And then the registrar said, well, it was 51,000 pages. There are actually 30,000 ballots. So we keep having to rejigger the math. The bottom line is they don't really care about our pace. They are telling everybody to be patient. But they're going to do it thoroughly. They're going to do it well. They hope to have unofficial complete results by Sunday. Accurate better than fast. Matt Gutman in Las Vegas. Thanks. When we come back, more on where things stand with ABC News' powerhouse political team and what happens next in the race for the White House. Stay with us.
What you're seeing right now, this is part of the eye wall. This procession of migrants goes back 2 miles.
There is going to be catastrophic damage.
This fire has made a run. You can see those flames shooting up into the sky.
We are on the jam-packed red carpet.
To the right, guys.
So this is the 4th weekend of protests.